one of many processes. I can get triggered by lots of different things, by movies, things that people say. I could get triggered by this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Whatever. I don't want you to be triggered by this conversation. You know what I found interesting? You became famous really quickly, even though there had been so much work put into getting to the point where we then knew you and you became famous. And you made the decision, or have made the decision, that you're not interested in just fame, but you're also looking for impact.
I want impact. I always did. I thought it was just through music at one point. I had some dreams of being an actress. And then it really was a spiritual awakening for me. I mean, I consider myself a spiritual, religious woman. I don't go to church every Sunday, but I do pray every day. I prayed like 8 times before I came out here with you. I was like, God, just tell me what to say. And the truth is that once I became famous, I thought to myself, well, I will, and I want to continue making music. I will and want to continue being in movies. But I want to help people. These people that come to my shows, I don't want to just take your money and sing for you. I want to help change your life. And I have all this life experience. And I can't, when I talk to God, right? And whatever you want to call it for yourself, if it's God or the other realm or your angels or
by any name,
it
responds.
Any gender, right? In response. When I talk to God, I say, tell me what to do. Because I'm being watched, and I want to do the right thing here. So tell me what to say. Tell me how to say it. And help me see the path. And if you show me that path, I will walk down it. And do you know what, Oprah? Look where that path has led me. I am sitting right next to you.
Does it every time. Asking you shall be given. What has been your greatest spiritual awakening? Greatest spiritual awakening?
I think my greatest spiritual awakening actually has been quite recent. I think it's that I realized that I have the chronic pain that I have for a reason. And I don't mean to be like, God gave it to me, And I also don't believe in that, karma thing where, you're sick because you did something bad.
Yeah.
But I do believe that this happened for a reason. All the things I've been through, I think they were supposed to happen. I was supposed to go through this.
Even the rape?
All of it. I think I was supposed to go through all of these things. I radically accepted they happened. And I think it happened because God was saying to me, I'm going to show you pain. And then you're going to help other people who are in pain because you're going to understand it.
Because you can't give what you don't have.
I can't look away. Because now when I see someone in pain, I can't look away because I go, oh, no, you're in pain. I'm in pain too. And then now I'm in problem solving mode. I got my suit on and my heels and I'm ready to go.
Yes. So this wisdom came from this pain. What has been the lesson that's actually taken you the longest to learn?
How to be wise. See, there is the rational mind and there is the emotional mind. And I think from day to day, we all experience ourselves, if we're mindful in some type of way, which I think this is good to be mindful about, is am I operating from an emotional space today or from a rational space today? Meaning, when I say rational, I mean cerebral, like intelligence, thoughts, facts, just really pragmatic. And emotional meaning am I operating from the heart? Am I really upset because my boyfriend broke up with me and I'm a mess, and I'm just being completely irrational? Wise sits in the center. Wise is when you are both rational and emotional at the same time, and those two things meet and you become wise. And that was the lesson that I learned. I mean, I had to learn how to pull myself back from either place and then sit in the center, because actually a psychotic break And if you look in the brain, or it's sort of a metaphor about the brain, it's like if you're centered, you're in here.
Because
right?
you had a psychotic break. Right?
I had a psychotic break. I'll explain what happened.
Okay.
So here's my brain, right? Here's my center, right? And then I was triggered really badly in a court deposition. And I just, like, this part of the brain where you stay centered and you don't disassociate, right? It went like this. It slammed down. And my whole body started tingling and I started screaming.
Where were you?
I was in a hospital. And it's very difficult to describe what it feels like, other than that you first are completely tingling from head to toe and then you go numb. But what is essentially happening is the brain goes, that's enough. I don't want to think about this anymore. I don't want to feel this anymore. Boom.
And you literally break from reality as we know it.
You break from reality as we know it. You have no concept of what's going on around you. There is nothing wrong, but you are in a traumatic state that you feel like I remember going into the hospital and screaming, why is no one else panicking? Why aren't you panicking? And then they brought a psychiatrist in, and then I'm in head to toe pain at the same time, right? And they brought in a psychiatrist, and I said, can you get me a real doctor? And he was like, hey, so nice to meet you. And he sat down, and I was like, I need medicine. I don't feel well. I can't feel I help me, right? And then he just said, I need you to explain to me what happened today. And I was so annoyed. But I'm telling you this story because even I, who run Born This Way Foundation with my mother, was irritated that they brought a psychiatrist in to help me. I mean, that's how, gone I was. I was so separated from the world. And once we started talking, he realized what had happened to me. And then he ordered a medication for me that I took reluctantly at first. And then he became my psychiatrist and assembled a team for me. And I went away to a place that I go to sometimes still for a reboot.
Yeah.
And they took care of me, and we got all of the things lined up, and I have a very unorthodox, actually, set of pills that I take. But they saved my life, and I'm very grateful.
Well, I think this is remarkable that you feel so open-hearted, vulnerable enough to share this. Was there a time when you were afraid of it getting out? Like Gaga's had a psychotic break, y'all.
You know, I think I was more scared of the psychotic break itself than I was about people knowing about it. I mean, when your brain flatlines like that, I mean, it's something I would never want to ever experience ever again.
And when that happened, were you thinking about your famed life, your life as Lady Gaga? Were you thinking those days may be over? Were you thinking?
I was thinking two different things. So to answer your first question, at some point I had to tell people, because I can't live a lie. I'm an authentic person, and here I am, and I'm perfectly imperfect, you know? It's and we all are. And we all have our things that we go through, and I just felt why wouldn't I share this when I share all of myself with the world all the time? And I could maybe help people that have had psychotic breaks, or maybe are on the verge of having one, and spread my message. But when I was there, one of the very first things that we talked about in my therapy work was objectification, and that I didn't feel that I belonged to myself anymore. I felt that I belonged to the world.
Wow. So how did you get you back for you?
A lot of hard work.
Yeah. Are you still in the process of that?
I'm past that part. I feel that I belong to myself now, and I feel also that I belong to the world. And I've made peace with those things, and I'm happy with them. But, you know, it takes the hard work the same way that this book is hard work.
Yeah.
Meaning you have to go in and you gotta really answer those questions. Like, don't be crafty. Don't try to get a good score.
I thought some people, we learned a lot by watching people do it today, because I think for some people, it's the first time they've ever actually asked themselves that question, some of these questions. And it takes time to actually think about what your true answers are.
And also, the ego
Yes.
has got to go.
Because the ego just wants to score high.
The ego wants to win the test. Oh, A+,
Yes.
I'm perfect.
Yes.
Nope, don't do it. You're doing yourself a major disservice. Go in there and answer those questions authentically, and then study them and radically accept your score. This is where I am.
And wherever you are, that's where you're supposed to be right now.
It's where you're supposed to be right now, and then you can actually problem solve. You cannot problem solve if you're lying to yourself. See, I got to a place where I didn't know who I was anymore, so I broke. My brain shut off, right? But once I started to get to know myself again, I was able to, you know, turn
Why
all the
didn't
knobs.
you know yourself anymore? Is it because you've given so much of yourself to the little monsters, to your fans, to the world, to your work?
I just didn't stop moving. I just was moving and moving and working and dancing through insurmountable pain. And I will say it took years for me to be diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And even if you ask my psychiatrist, he doesn't even refer to it as that. He'll call it neuropathic pain or a trauma response. So I was going to the doctor all the time, getting like my whole body x-rayed, MRI'd, everything, for someone to tell me something was wrong. Like, tell me I have a herniated disc or something. And they couldn't find anything. And it was so frustrating. So I was also on tour, dancing in excruciating pain. And I wasn't properly medicated. And I wasn't in therapy.
And so what were you telling yourself?
I was afraid I was gonna die.
So you're performing on stage in front of thousands and thousands of people all over the world, and every night going to bed thinking you were gonna die.
Yeah.
And you lived that way for how long?
I would say I lived that way for about 5 years.
That's so sad.
And I radically accept those 5 years. Because they made me who I am.
I get that. I get that, but it also feels, Gaga, so lonely. You know, I think we live in this Instagrammed world where everybody wants to be famous and they want to post their lives as they want us to think that it is. And this idea of what your life is like and what we see and what we've been exposed to about you. People think, oh gosh, I would just love to have that life. You can't have this life unless you're willing to have every part of this life, including the rape, right? You have to have take it all.
Well, including the rape and also no one wanting to help me.
Yes.
You know, in an industry where everyone has someone on each other, so no one wants to help you out.
Really?
Oh yeah. No one wanted to help me. No one wanted to help me go after that person, to put that person where they belong, which is jail.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed of it, but I, you know, through the whole Me Too movement, have made the personal choice not to say who it is, because I choose to not relive it. And that's my personal choice, and I hope that the world respects that.
But let's talk about the loneliness for a moment. I think